Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Tuesday afternoon. First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you as we have had a pleasant day so far today. Hopefully you've been able to get outside and enjoy it, because I am first alerting you to some rain and even some thunderstorms that are starting to roll in. I'm actually going to start pretty quickly here with a live look in Flint, because we have been seeing on our Vehicle City Harley-Davidson camera some puffy cumulus clouds that have been brewing. These have just kind of been signaling kind of the beginning of that rainfall that's going to be headed on in. And then also our camera. This one really kind of gives us that ominous look here as we're checking out towards the west. This is our camera positioned in Southern Bay County along US 10. And we had some sunshine here just a few moments ago, but you can see rain clouds out into the distance. So we are going to be tracking some rain coming in. I will take you on a little bit of a tour here across mid-Michigan to see some of our cameras. As you can see here in downtown Saginaw, that we do have those dark, spooky clouds, maybe in an October sky, we can say, that is starting to get a little bit closer towards downtown Saginaw. We do also have our camera here at CMU as that switches in. We are seeing rain here, kind of a little darker just because we do have that rain cloud right overhead. So hopefully students, faculty, staff have their umbrellas in their bags. I know I always have my umbrella with me. You don't want to be caught under a downpour. So hopefully students are able to kind of run in between the buildings to get to class here. Now we do have here in Flint still some drier weather. Our camera is going to be in downtown. Still have some sun, but you can see those clouds that are kind of just on the edges of our screen, but still holding on to the pleasant day as long as we can. And then our final camera stop is going to be here in Birch Run, so we can also see those rain clouds here as well. So if you maybe left the windows down on your car, just grab your phone. We can head outside, get those windows rolled up, and then we'll continue on with that live stream. But I know some folks are still kind of holding on to the nice weather. Well, we haven't, so we are going to first alert you that you are going to find conditions that could be a little bit rainy. So that means if it is your day to do after school pickup with the kids, you are going to be dodging some rainfall as it comes through. I have rain here, you can see, for the next couple of hours. Temperature is also going to be into the mid 50s during this time frame, a little bit cooler now that we're seeing more October weather coming in, but also it's been a little bit breezy at times. I know I could kind of hear the wind throughout the day so far, and you might even feel it kind of nudge the car as you're driving along. So nothing that's terribly strong, but you'll just kind of notice that the wind is hanging out there for us today. I will start with our pinpoint Doppler just because the rain's kind of the big takeaway here. This is actually still from our system of last night. So we had that rainfall that came through during the night. A lot of us slept through it. And then now we're seeing the wraparound rain on the backside of the storm. So this is bringing us some lightning. Some thunderstorms are into the mix. So far, I haven't seen anything looking all that severe on radar, but it is going to be because with us having kind of that cold fall air coming in since that cold front has passed, we can find that because we have that temperature difference, considering we did have temperatures that were a little bit warmer. Now we're cooling them down being behind the front. We can see that our winds are going to be a little bit gusty in some of these thunderstorms. We're also going to be finding that we do have the chance for some grapple or some small hail. So that's pretty common here going into October just because of the temperature setup that we typically have at this point in autumn. So if you do see any of those ice pellets come through, they should be fairly small, kind of like the ice cubes that you get maybe at the restaurant that are just those little small chunky ones. But we are going to see that we do have the chance for that in some of these thunderstorms because we just have that colder air around. I'm going to kind of highlight some of our towns here and where we're tracking this line to be coming through. I am going to bring our lightning size down. The good thing is that if we have lightning, we want you headed inside. So make sure that you are being cautious and having that the tracker on the First Alert weather app so that you can get notifications when that lightning is nearby. It doesn't look like I have any push notifications yet for that, but of course we'll be watching it. So we have that rain along M52, so we are picking up on some of those thunderstorms around the Owasso, Chesaning area. Those are also moving through St. Charles. So right along M52 is kind of where we see that first line. So this is going to be headed in towards Saginaw, Birch Run, Flushing, Schwartz Creek, coming into Flint. We're going to be picking up on that rainfall here pretty soon. This seems to be moving at a pretty good pace overall, but again, we don't have any severe weather really along this line. I'm not even seeing all that strong reflectivity, So meaning not a ton of rain in there, but of course, when we are talking thunderstorms, we can have some pockets that it really starts to build in for us. As we kind of see, this line does continue in towards Edenville, up M30 coming in towards Gladwin. And then we're also seeing some of that green coming in towards Roscommon County. So if you're in Aranac, Ogama, Iosco, or Bay counties, you're in pretty good shape, but we are just starting to see there along US 10 into Midland that we have that rainfall coming through. And even M47 is going to be picking up on some water and that thunderstorm that's going to be headed in that direction. Now, kind of seeing what comes in behind it, we do have that rain in Mount Pleasant, as we saw on our camera there. The rain was coming down, but yet we could see some sun because we were looking towards the south. So you can see that we do have some clearing here in towards Gratiot County, but yet there's still some thunderstorms that are closer towards Ionia that are headed in our direction here. So if you're in Alma, Ithaca, Ashley, you are going to want to keep an eye on radar, be prepared to head inside as that rainfall comes through. And even further behind it, we are still seeing some storms that are developing. They're coming off of the lake, seeing a little bit of enhancement, and so we're seeing those along 131, and those continue a little bit closer towards 131 and US 10 at that intersection. We're even picking up on some rain towards Traverse. So overall, the big picture kind of takeaway here is that we are starting to see the rain on the backside of the system come through. I'm going to kind of back out the view here so you can really kind of see what we're working with. So we have our storm that's circulating around. I'll bring our pointer out here. So it is kind of just wrapping around. So what we were experiencing earlier today was first this band of rain. So this is what we had during the night. So that has pivoted eastward and out of town. What is now coming in, and this is commonly known as when we have a low pressure system that's starting to weaken, is the dry slot. So that means that drier air is creating the slot and it's starting to kind of wrap around the center of our storm. So as that dry air just kind of continues to hold here, we still have to see the backside of that rain push back at us. So that's what we're working through now, is seeing still some thunderstorms and some showers that are coming in the mix. We'll see that we have even more rain that is sitting here into Wisconsin. So that's why once the rain starts here this afternoon, it carries on in the forecast, not only through the rest of our Tuesday, but also into Wednesday. So we are going to be seeing kind of a few more soggy days here in the forecast. We need the water. It won't be nearly as much as the weekend, but it is going to kind of be wet and rainy if you have some plans that are either outside or even if you're just trying to run in between any errands that you may have. So that's kind of a look at our radar update that we have so far. I will kind of hop back into the wind component of this forecast too, because we have seen that our winds have been still kind of out of that southwest direction. You will see that those winds are around 10 to 15 miles per hour. So still manageable at this point, but maybe just enough that you'll kind of notice a breeze, some of that air moving. And our peak winds so far, just kind of some of the latest ones that we've seen, have only been gusting around 20 to 25 miles per hour. You'll see 25-mile-per-hour winds in Flint, and in Houghton Lake we're at 23, 27 in Oscoda, of course, out there by the water. Kind of keep in mind you can kind of pick up some of those greater wind speeds. But really, we are going to be watching for the wind and the rainfall as we go through the rest of our afternoon. Now, I am going to take a quick break. I am going to get the hour-by-hour forecast set up for you. So we'll be back in about 60 seconds for that future forecast. And welcome back. I was also just checking some of our Facebook comments because we are streaming to WNEM.com, the TV5 News app, our YouTube page, and also our Facebook page, the WNEM account. So make sure you're connected with us on all those platforms. But we actually had Cheryl, she said, hey, it's getting a little dark here in Gladwin. So of course, we have that rainfall that we are watching on radar. I do also want to just talk about the rain chances. As I had mentioned, we are going to be finding that we do continue to see rain chances now that they've picked up here for today. We'll carry them through the rest of our Tuesday and still into Wednesday. We'll be looking at numerous showers in your forecast. They will be a little bit broken at times, but we are still looking at today and tomorrow to still be wet and rainy days. Now, it still just kind of lingers as this low pressure system does work on leaving mid-Michigan and even the region itself, but we're still going to find some slight rain chances. That's kind of why we have a hint at some rain. Even as we look towards the weekend, you'll kind of see that it's a little bit noisy in the data, so we're going to try to keep it dry, but we are watching in case we do need to add some rain chances in. So, of course, with you joining the live stream, you kind of get that behind the scenes look at the forecast of what we're kind of watching and weighing here as we go throughout the next couple of days. So, as promised, we have the hour-by-hour forecast. You'll see that it's picking up on the showers that have been approaching from the west. Those are going to continue to move eastward here for the next couple of hours. So, if you're going to be headed out, you are going to want to check radar. You can do that in the First Alert weather app. I'll actually bring that up full screen so that you can get that downloaded in case you don't have it. If you already have this app on your phone, just make sure it's updated. All you got to do is go in to your app store and run those updates and kind of check to make sure that you're on the latest version. But this is going to be pretty helpful considering that we do have the lightning outside. That lightning tracker, that didn't get turned off just because summer's wrapping up. That is still live and active. We always have that working for you. So using the lightning tracker today is going to be a pretty helpful tool for us. Now, going back to the hour-by-hour forecast with the scattered showers and storms, for anybody who's going to be doing the evening commute, that's when we want to check in radar. And we're still going to be seeing some scattered rain going through about 8 o'clock. So if you have maybe some group meetings tonight, you're still going to be dodging the rain as we go through, but you might be able to kind of thread the needle and get back out in between your destination and your car with no worries of rain. So you may just be able to kind of sneak through the scatteredness of our showers, but we will kind of see that thunderstorm activity settling down here for the night. Severe weather not expected during the overnight hours, so we are still seeing some rain. Now, one thing I want to point out is that this is as the system wraps around, we do still see some rain chances going into Wednesday morning. Now, we've kind of had a bigger band of rain, a little bit of a stronger signal, and we are still seeing that setting up towards our west. You can see that here closer towards 131 and then pivoting in towards Lansing. So we still may have that clip, Isabella and Gratiot counties, and maybe even portions of Shiawassee County. We'll see how far this is going to try to come into mid-Michigan. So it's going to be kind of close, but what we're anticipating is that it's going to wrap around and it's going to just kind of swing and stay south of here, because I am kind of also seeing, as I put this forward, some of that dry air that we had earlier today. It looks like it's still wrapped around, which is very common to have in a low pressure system, to just have that dry air. It has nowhere to go, so it just kind of stays inside the storm until we see that move along and dissipate. So we will be finding that still some drier areas around. I am keeping yet some scattered showers in and throughout our Wednesday, and that you can see still picking up by 5 o'clock. So much of the day, at least running a rain chance. You may find that you still have a chance to get outside, but you just got to be prepared to head indoors once that rainfall moves in, because we're still seeing by bedtime tomorrow night that we are still seeing that rainfall here on the map. And even as we go into our Thursday, as I had mentioned, it just kind of takes its time. It's lingering. Some of the outer bands on the outside still sitting towards our west along 131. We're going to try to get those passed through, but just because we have some cooler air and also our Great Lakes water temperatures are a little bit warmer, I am worried that we could see just a little bit of lake effect rain showers kind of holding on here. Let's actually pull up our Great Lakes water temperatures. Let's see what we're working with at this point in the season. So we're still going to be looking at Lake Michigan when we have that northwest wind. So that's going to be definitely enough when we are seeing air temperatures into the lower 50s. Of course, it's a lot cooler also than higher up in the atmosphere. So I do anticipate kind of seeing here through the next couple of days some of those lake effect showers to just kind of hold and linger in the forecast. That also means that it's going to just kind of carry on and continue then with the cloud cover as well. So we'll sunshine, but just know that the Great Lakes, kind of as we get into this cooler season, really get into the driver's seat and kind of take control of our forecast. So we will be watching though for the rainfall here throughout the day. Again, some of those thunderstorms that are in the mix. Here you can see our severe weather outlook. What we're really going to be watching for is those strong winds. You may have some cells that have some heavy rain. I haven't necessarily picked up too much of that strong signal yet on radar, but where you can see we just kind of have that non-severe for a large majority of us. So it's going to be Huron County coming into the Tri-Cities, and then we're seeing that along 127 and then further north. Now we are seeing along I-69, including Genesee, Shiawassee, Lapeer counties, just kind of coming in towards Saginaw County, getting close, even including Birch Run, Frankenmuth, but then coming over into Tuscola and Sanilac counties, we have that marginal risk. So that means isolated severe storms are possible. We could have a couple of cells that really kind of get going with the wind component in today's forecast. So you may find some gusty winds in some of these storms, and as I mentioned, you could have some small hail or like some grapple. Considering that it is a little bit cooler in the forecast, that is possible for us to have. I don't anticipate that it would get all that big in this system just because looking at the strength of some of our storms, but it is still possible that we can have those ice pellets. It's a little bit cooler. It's not going to be hard then to make ice higher up in the skies. Now, our rain predictor, I have been kind of keeping an eye on some of these numbers. It really just depends also how much lake enhancement we get going into Thursday with the lake effect. So some of these totals could be just potentially a touch higher. You can see we're really around a quarter to a half inch still, considering what we have yet to be picked up from the system. But we still could see some locations that are a little bit closer towards 3/4 of an inch. So we will be finding about 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch to be possible with what we pick up starting now. And even that goes through much of our Thursday with those rain chances still carrying on over Lake Michigan and sneaking on in. So just something to kind of keep an eye to. Let's do another radar update because we do have the showers and storms, and for anybody who's just joining in, also this line moving fairly quickly. I am going to do a little bit of work here because I want to see if we can get some timing because this is moving fairly fast. I'm just going to draw this line here to kind of mark where it was an hour ago. So yeah, you can see that it's moved quite a bit in an hour. You can see that that's nearly about 35 miles that it has already traveled. So I do want to set up our Futurecast to kind of be reading closer towards that, and we can give you some times here along this line. So we're going to draw this kind of coming through, and we'll kind of take that out all the way towards the shoreline. So we anticipate this to be rolling into Bay City, as we could see on some of our cameras. Actually, real fast, I am going to be bringing up that camera here in Southern Bay County. So this is right before you come into Bay City. So it doesn't look like we have the rain just yet, but it is trying to get pretty close. We do have that estimated rain time to be around 2:40 p.m. into Flint, around 3:11 in Lapeer, 3:19 for Cass City, 3:34 for Imlay City. Oh, I just had a lightning bolt on our camera. I'll see, we'll kind of turn back here, see if we can catch that, but I'll still have some of these times. If you're in Bad Axe, around 3:37 for your rain arrival, and in Sandusky around 3:48, and then in towards Croswell, getting pretty close to the shoreline there at about 4 o'clock or 4:05. So we still have a little bit of time if you're into the thumb for you to start to see that rain. You're looking at about a strong hour before that comes in. Also, I do want to point out, as this thunderstorm is starting to come in across Bay County, I've noticed that the winds have picked up quite a bit. Look at the flags. So they are getting a lot of wind. And even check out the trees. So any leaves that have not been maybe trying to hold on here, they're going to have a really tough time with some of these storms coming in. So let me kind of view here the thunderstorm that we have. I also want to turn that lightning back because the size just ends up getting really large for us here. So this is the look on radar and what we have. So of course we have that thunderstorm around the Auburn area, just coming in between Saginaw and Bay counties. And so that is continuing to move eastward. I'll kind of put this into motion here so you can see. So it's just not quite into Bay City with our heaviest of rain, but what you can anticipate is kind of a look similar to this, to where you will pick up on some water. You will see the winds. Our camera is also getting a little bit of wind, and I'm really just watching the flags there because they're getting a lot of play in that wind. And even some of those trees, they're, though a little bit younger, they are still slightly established. And so I anticipate that we're probably going to be doing some raking after all the wind pushes through here. So, so far we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. We will be watching for really just kind of the winds to pick up in these storms. So anybody who's driving along US 10, you may find that your steering wheel, you kind of get a little tug at the wheel from the wind. For the folks that are driving eastbound, it's going to kind of help to kind of push you along a little bit faster potentially. But if you're going to be driving in that, going in the westbound direction, be prepared to have those windshield wipers on because you will run into rain The further west you go, the closer you get towards Auburn. I've been seeing that rain through the Freeland area already. Kochville Township, you're kind of picking up on some of that rain as well. Looks like, or actually I'm able to kind of hear some of that rain coming into downtown Saginaw here at the station. So we are picking up on that rain. Bridgeport is, and if you're in Birch Run, maybe you are joining us from the outlets. You're going to want to pick your favorite store that you want to do some shopping in, because we are going to have that rain break there. So also we're going to start to see that rain coming in towards Frankenmuth. I am going to turn that camera back here to Southern Bay County, just because we do have that rain coming through. As I mentioned, quite a bit of wind, no severe warnings on it, but you will just find that because it's been so quiet, maybe you're just a little out of practice with the weather. So we do still have some of these showers that have quite a bit of wind associated with them, and even those thunderstorms too. Actually, yep, just getting a text message in. The text says a pop of wind in some of these showers. So we are watching it as your first alert weather team, of course, kind of keeping an eye to the conditions. It looks like drivers are doing pretty good still on the highway. But of course, with that wind kind of blowing those raindrops around, we'll be keeping an eye to it. As I set up our next radar scan here, I do kind of want to show what we have still to come in behind it. So you will see that we do have yet some rainfall across Mount Pleasant. I'm actually going to see if I can pull that camera up for you here too, because though we did pick up on some of that rain, we might be able to see maybe the wind part of the forecast a little bit better. So pulling that up here, looks like the rain has settled down a little bit. I can get a little bit of a better look. And also it's just not as dark and ominous on those skies as what we had. Those Halloween skies maybe taking a break with the rain, but we are going to be seeing that we do have those storms that are coming in. I am going to take just another quick break. We'll do one more radar check and then we'll finish off with that 7-day forecast. So stick with us. We're going to be right back in a quick 60-second break. And we are back to give you an update on radar here. So here's the wide view of what we have across mid-Michigan. So we kind of have that first line. This is the backside of the storm that came through last night into this morning. We've had a pleasant start to the day, but now we are tracking showers and thunderstorms. I'm actually able to hear some of the rainfall at the station, and it sounds like it's coming down at a pretty good pace. Also, the wind is kind of pushing a lot of that rain as well. So if you are driving, make sure you have those headlights on. Turn on those windshield wipers. Be cautious. Of course, hopefully you are hands-free driving. It is the law, so we want you just to be mindful of the conditions. If you just have us audio only, that is a-okay, because we are watching this line that's just now exiting Shiawassee County, going to be coming in towards Flushing. We'll have that towards Burton, coming in even towards Birch Run here shortly, and into Saginaw. As I mentioned, we were seeing and hearing some rainfall at the station. We also have just that line of lightning that's associated with that, so we're picking up on some lightning here in and around closer towards Bay City, Saginaw. We don't have a ton of lightning in the section of the storm that's coming into Genesee County, but with the lightning that we have, we want you headed inside. Of course, with the wind and rain, it's going to be uncomfortable outdoors anyway, so just head inside. And we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. We will also see that we still have some rainfall along 127, so we are waiting for that rain to just now kind of settle in, and we will continue to track that as it goes further east. Now, there is still some rain that's setting up towards the Grand Rapids area, so we'll be watching for that as we go throughout the afternoon. Even some of the timing of this rain, as I had mentioned, it's been going about 35 miles per hour, so we'll just kind of bring this line ahead. This might be just slightly different just because I'm backed out a little bit on the view here. So some of these times have changed ever so slightly. So Bad Axe was about 3:47. So you're now at about 3:40 p.m. But a little bit closer towards Flint. We're still about 20 minutes away, and that would get us into downtown. But of course, that rain's moving into Genesee County. Otisville around 2:45. We'll have that coming in towards Caro here at about 2:56, so close to 3 o'clock. And then about 3:15 into Lapeer, 3:32 for Brown City, Bad Axe around 3:40, and then closer towards the shoreline into Deckerville and Croswell around 3:50 to 4 p.m. Again, we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings. This is just kind of the timing of some of that rain that is coming through. And now that the rain has started, we will have that here for the next couple of hours. So make sure you have radar running on the First Alert weather app. Also, you can get those lightning alerts as well. I know I just saw one pop in on my devices. So that's a great tool if you are running errands to know, oh, I have lightning in my location. I need to stay inside for a little bit. Or if you're running errands, just kind of check radar so that you know if you have maybe time or if you just want to wait it out for a little bit so you don't get so headed out. Now, as promised, we are going to take a look at that 7-day forecast here. As we finish up, we are going to be looking at our temperatures into the 50s. We are going to be seeing them cool down quite a bit going into Wednesday and Thursday. This low pressure system that's bringing us the rain also does allow temperatures to fall. So we will be finding that our highs are going to be going into the lower 50s. I'm even watching right around Thursday, we may just barely make 50 degrees. We could be close to the upper 40s. So that would be kind of the coolest day in the forecast. Also, something to kind of keep in mind here is that overnight lows also start to drop. We see those tonight that are still going to be into the lower 40s, some upper 30s, but then we do fall back into those mid to upper 30s for the rest of the week. So if you don't have that furnace on, it looks like that might be coming on here this week. But we will be finding that our rain chances still kind of linger through as the system pivots and just kind of spirals around, and it takes its time to get out of here. So that's why you have the rain chances for the rest of your Tuesday into Wednesday. Both days going to be breezy here, so be prepared for that wind. And as we go into Thursday, a little bit more isolated. We'll be watching to see that coverage coming off the lake, and even just kind of if it lingers into Friday. That's why we have that 10% chance there. We're trying to keep the weekend dry. We just have a little bit of noise that we're seeing. We want to see if that can really get organized and if that storm can even get developed. So we're watching that kind of in the longer term forecast going into the weekend, but we have temperatures by then trying to make a slight rebound, seeing that into the mid to upper 50s. But overall, pretty consistent with low to mid 50s here through the next 7 days, and even those overnight temps again falling back into the 30s. So it is going to be a little bit cooler. Now, of course, make sure you have that First Alert weather app up and running on your devices to kind of keep an eye to the rainfall. But I am going to go make sure we have that new 7-day forecast ready for our 4 o'clock news, so you can see that coming up on TV5 today. But thank you so much for joining me for our live stream, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.